No. Hold up a second. We're using this intro tonight.
Them sympathizers give me an earache every time.
What's wrong with synthesizers, man?
I always despise synthesizers.
Well, then you're not a true old school metalhead because they all used synthesizers.
No, John Lord and them used a, let's call it, technicality on that. They didn't really.
You're saying technicality because you know you're gonna lose.
Well, I guess you can call all organs a form of a synthesizer, but I hate the fake drums. I hate the fake guitar play of the synthesizer.
That wasn't fake.
I'm not saying yours. I'm just saying in general. Tendency they have back in the 80s, the reason they used a synthesizer, maybe your guitar player wasn't as great. I'm not knocking Betty Van Halen. I know he played it. But most of the time, they hire somebody to cover up some mistakes.
Ted saying Van Halen in 1984, synths all over.
Oh, yeah.
We're getting off topic. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Fandomology, where fandoms collide. I am Paul, and we now have an official name for our Sunday streams. We're calling it now the Chaos Collective, kind of inspired by a private DM chat that myself and Phil and Cash and Crit and all of us are part of, and I thought it would work. And let's see, in the chat, I don't know what this was supposed to be, Phil. I think this was supposed to be some sort of emoji that didn't turn out right.
The emoji for the little ape, the little gorilla.
Oh, and then yawning, saying there's only one king and it's King Kong. We'll get into that later. Hello also to Jet Sparks. And, of course, hello to Ted's Nerd World. So, tonight we are once again, and for the first time in a while, talking about Star Wars outside of the Clone Wars. And Star Wars is kind of in an interesting place right now, where it seems like none of the projects that are coming out right now, at least for me, and I'm sure for you also, Phil, none of the future projects out right now we're really that interested in or certainly not invested in either. And sometimes you have to wonder whether or not you even still like Star Wars at all. Like, that was me a few weeks ago. I was seriously considering whether or not I could truly call myself a Star Wars fan, given how just given the utter disdain that I had for what Disney has given us. And don't get me wrong, I do not want this to be nothing but crapping on Disney. I want this to be a fun, positive stream tonight.
Gotcha.
But that being said, I was watching the end of the Clone Wars Season 5, specifically the arc where Ahsoka leaves the Order. And for the first time in a long time, I was watching something from Star Wars that actually made me feel something inside beyond a surface level. Well, that was fun. Like it felt meaningful and it felt impactful. And I said it when we covered it that night on Animation Friday, and I will say it again. Between that arc and the Fall of Mandalore arc, I pretty much fell in love with Star Wars all over again. So that's kind of what tonight is about, where I've come to the realization that sometimes you have to rediscover or remind yourself of why you like a certain thing to begin with that maybe hasn't been good as of late. So that is what we're talking about. And with that, I'm actually going to put the StreamYard link in the chat. We're going to make this an open pop-in stream because I want to hear from you guys what first got you into Star Wars, and also what's keeping you going with Star Wars. And if you're coming in here and you like every single thing that Disney has made, I want to hear that also. So give me a quick second, and while I do that, Phil, you can actually kick us off. And I really don't even think I can't remember at least your story of what first got you into Star Wars. So now's a good time as any. What
story again? No problem. Oh,
yeah.
I am an original Star Wars fan. Day one, I was 6 years old when the first movie came out. A couple weeks after it was released, my father took me and my brother, waited in line to go see Star Wars at a small theater because the big theaters were all packed, and there still was a line. I'd say that line was probably about a good. They had like three screens up, and I think it was still in. I would say about an hour wait. About an hour wait, and finally getting in there, and being blown away. Now, like I said, I was 6 at the time. I had been in movies and movie theaters, but this was my first big movie. Most of the movies I saw at that time in the theaters were, ironically, Disney movies. Song of the South was played for the final time in the 70s, and that was it. It was done, never hit back in the theaters.
Good luck finding it today, by the way.
Yeah, today you're never going to see it. But I saw it in the theaters, and it was packed. And even though it was, Disney back then tended to every couple of years, 10 years, bring movies back. And it was packed. And I can't say anything bad about it. But Star Wars that night, even though I was into technically what you would call today sci-fi, it was Star Trek, and believe it or not, the Planet of the Apes, that was your sci-fi. And on TV, just coming out, was Star Blazers, but this blew everything away because it was live action. This was mind blowing. But I will say this, looking back as today, as great as that first movie was, had it not been for the Battle of Yavin, I don't think Star Wars would have made it. I think the Battle of Yavin it impacted me, because that was awesome. But like I said, for some people, the Luke Skywalker getting his lightsaber, Obi-Wan and things, people love that part. I'm not saying I didn't, but the Battle of Yavin really put Star Wars there. That pushed that movie over the top. And when I left it, I can remember talking to my friends, and the most important part to them in that movie was the TIE fighters and X-Wings and the battle at the Death Star. That was nonstop. You couldn't, I say for a year or two, you couldn't even stop talking about it.
Yeah.
And I couldn't wait for the next movie, The Empire Strikes Back. I remember seeing that, and I will say hands down, when it comes out of all Star Wars, that is the best. The Empire Strikes Back cannot be topped. Okay. Even better than the original. It's rare to say a sequel to a movie is better than the first release of the original movies. When you hear people talk Lord of the Rings, you talk the Fellowship of the Ring. You don't really say, "Oh, the Two Towers is better," but for Star Wars,
I have heard some people say that.
There is some, yes, but I can say for Star Wars fans of my age, The Empire Strikes Back, while not as impacting as on a culture as Star Wars was, popularity wise, it was even bigger. You get the Imperial March. That, what can you say? Everybody ran with it. The Raiders were running with the image. You had people on TV running with that image, even more than they were as popular it was in 77.
Wow.
Yeah, it was big. It was big. And then I can remember everybody waiting for Originally, we were told on TV it was supposed to be Revenge of the Jedi. Then last minute, George Lucas did a quick fix and said, no, we're going to do Return of the Jedi. But at first, when they first were promoting the movie that was out and coming, it was Revenge of the Jedi. And there's actually movie theater posters that they were given.
I'm looking up one now, by the way.
Had Revenge of the Jedi on it. And if you have one of them posters, you got something golden.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find a version that's actually worth showing on here that I don't have to zoom in big on.
Gotcha. But it wasn't only like in movie theaters promoting the early.
Here we go.
Movies.
This isn't from the poster, I believe. This would have been from, I think, the original trailer. Here's that.
Revenge of the Jedi. There's a clip of Mark Hamill and Carrie Fisher doing an interview, and it's the interview I saw, and I think it was on whatever the ABC morning talk show was at the time on the weekend, and they were promoting Revenge of the Jedi. And I will have to agree, it did sound weird. The last thing you think about a Jedi, even back then, was having revenge.
Yeah.
I would say more in 83. It was there in 81. It wasn't as much in 77. That's where the peak of the toys coming out. And what I mean by that, not to say it wasn't there in 77 or 81, or 80, whenever Empire came out. But in 83, the toys hit the stores before even the movie came out. Before, it wasn't the case. It was after the movie, the first two movies, that the toys came out. So as a kid, you're getting the best of both worlds. You're getting toys, you're getting the movie, everything's perfect. You go to McDonald's and Burger King, it wasn't McDonald's. Burger King was putting out, you go there, you get 4 collector's glasses. And believe it or not, people were getting them. Kids wanted them. I won't even say for collecting, just to have. They wanted to have. And that started a thing with Burger King, McDonald's, and Wendy's at the time. Certain movies come out, one of the 3 would promote it. Go to Burger King, you get this from this movie. Go to McDonald's, you get the Batman movies of the 80s and early 90s. McDonald's were promoting them left and right.
Real quick, Phil, I'm going to interrupt you because I'm going to bring in a guest that I did not know was going to pop in, but I'm glad he's here because he is always an amazing conversation. Please welcome Old Man. And how are you tonight, sir?
I am absolutely fantastically enjoying myself here. And didn't you guys a little earlier have some kind of a go around or something?
We did. We were talking last time we spoke about the original series of Star Trek, and now tonight we're talking Star Wars.
And it's always good to have an ally because us elderly are not respected as we should be.
Oh, shut up, Phil! Just keep your trash opinions to yourself and take your McDonald's coupons.
These coupons are all expired. They're all expired. But I like I said, for Star Wars was very special for me because I grew up in the 70s. There were other movies that were just as big and popular, even though, like, for example, every year, once a year, it was guaranteed you got Charlton Heston doing his Moses. Mm-hmm. And even though I wasn't alive at the time, that movie, even though it wasn't on TV, was a big deal. And I put that up there as high as Star Wars because of the impact of it. Every year, even now, you cannot go on a Easter Sunday or even before that, on like a Good Friday or Saturday, go without seeing Harrison Ford do the Moses thing, So we did have it. Believe it or not, Planet of the Apes, the movies, did have a lot of memorabilia, and they were before Star Wars. They had lunch boxes, board games, and action figures. And the reverse happened for that because we got a TV show and we got a cartoon after the movies. Kind of a little reverse there with what they were doing with a lot of other places where you get the cartoon, the TV show, and then you get a movie, kind of reverse.
Right.
But after the Return of the Jedi, and I've always said this, there was a letdown. Not intended, but there was a letdown. Even though George Lucas was really into Indiana Jones, I think that took away time from Star Wars, but maybe rightfully so. But I think we would have got the first 3 episodes of episode 1, 2, and 3 a lot sooner than the big wait that we had. And people did not want Star Wars to die. So we had games, and then electronic video games were really big. The consoles came out with Star Wars games. The figures and memorabilia toys, that never stopped.
Right.
That never stopped. Even though they were done making the movies, almost every year there was another generation of new toys or even remakes of the older toys. But by 1990, we were really hurting for something of Star Wars. And it wasn't until we got the first 3 books from Timothy Zahn, which brought Star Wars back. I don't even think people realize today what them books did. And remember, them 3 books were on the New York Times bestseller, and that is not something to sneeze at. That was a big deal.
And I will mention this also, by the way, just as an aside, if anyone has read the work of Timothy Zahn, you absolutely owe it to yourself anytime he's near you and at a convention to go and meet him. Not only will he, and I speak from experience here, not only will he stand there at his table and have a good conversation with you for 10 minutes, but if you bring in one of his books to sign, he'll do it for free.
And I want to point out, a lot of people say this person or that person saved Star Wars. Timothy Zahn really saved Star Wars. After him, after George Lucas, he's the one that came up with Coruscant. That's not George Lucas. That's him. Mara Jade. Even though George Lucas approves it.
Hold up. I gotta play that one funny clip.
Oh yes, the George Lucas freaking out.
Have you seen this clip, by the way, old man? He gets mad at someone bringing up Mara Jade, and real quick, I'm gonna guess that is Michael because he had the Shockwave avatar last time.
Who is this Michael you speak of? Are you talking about this fleshling that I disposed of?
All right. Well, anyways, I'm going to bring this funny clip up real quick since Phil brought up Mara Jade. I don't believe you've seen this, Michael, so check this out.
No, I don't think I have.
Mara Jade. Wait! I am not the creator of Mara Jade, and I want you to get out of this office right now.
I'm sorry, Zach.
No way. No way.
You brought it on yourself.
I don't want you here.
I'm sorry, George. I didn't think you would go like this.
Out.
And then he just sits back down all calm like nothing happened.
But like I said, and the thing is, his books kicked off the EU, and a lot of people give a lot of flack on the EU, but there is consistency. As soon as Timothy Zahn was done with his series, the next series and books fall in line. And through the whole entire EU, that's what happened. Every book is another chapter. The books really were life-saving. And then what really came out and was bizarre was in 1996 when they came out with Shadows of the Empire. You got everything a Star Wars movie would have had. You had advertisements, you had the books, you had the games, you had everything. I remember going to the mall when Shadows of the Empire came out. Everything was released one time.
And
It was
remind
like-
me, was this what had what's the guy, Prince Zizor in it, or was
Yes,
this Dash or the other
yes.
guy?
Yeah, Dash Rendar and Prince Caesar were there. That they're the characters in that. And there was, like I said, if they released a movie or something at that time, it would have been perfect. But there was no movie, but it was still perfect because it was like a movie.
Right.
That really, I think, really signaled to George Lucas, you need to get your movies done, or because people are waiting. And
Okay.
96 was really big. Was, like I said, there was that dark time between 83 and 91. That was a long period to have no Star Wars. Nothing.
Right.
Absolutely.
Well, I'm gonna cut you there,
One
Phil,
movie
for
for
now.
a
That
long,
way we
long
can move
time.
on.
Mhm.
Oh.
Totally.
Yeah. So, old man, you can go next. What first got you into Star Wars?
Well, being the senior citizen of the lot here, when I actually saw the opening sequence, was like, wow.
Ooh.
This, I don't know what's coming next, maybe, but I get a kick out of this one. Particularly when it opened with that scroll that goes all the way back to the 50s and 40s. With that, there was, da-di-da-di-da. You saw that in front of all these pictures back then, the serial movies. Now, here you have it opening with that serial scroll, and then bang, what have you got? Oh my goodness, some little ship is running for its life. What's following it? Holy caracoles, is that huge? And you're sitting and watching this and the activity that's going on, the intensity that starts to build up. And he had it very well laid out. He grabbed you right away with both ends of the spectrum. The kids who had never seen an opening like that before in a movie, and us old geezers that had. And then the impact in between that neither of us had really seen, something as effective as that.
Of course.
Yeah, that had you. And then as you progressed through, you saw the X-wings and TIE fighters and everything else going at it.
You're starting to break up a little bit, old man, by the way.
Oh, I hope this is going through.
Now you're clear on my end.
You're clear. It's weird. You're clear for a little bit, but then you really start glitching out.
I think you might have a storm in your area too, even though we're not.
Well, I got storm damaged internet, I think.
Mm-hmm.
A storm came through here a while back and kind of screwed things up really royal.
Yeah.
But going on with the main part of it is that Lucas knew what he was doing. He took World War II film footage of real air-to-air combat. And what did he do? He dubbed over them with a TIE fighter and an X-Wing.
Battle of Britain. That's
I
what the
believe that.
movie's called, that he borrowed it from, the battle. Even the call signs, red leader, gold leader, that's from the Battle of Britain. Michael Keaton was in that movie. And yes, he borrowed. If you watch it, it's on YouTube for free. If you get a chance to watch it, you'll see it, and you'll hear the call signs, gold leader, red leader, same thing. So, yeah, there's another thing.
Well, something that was done back then.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, these people, when they filmed that,
there was something that you probably
done.
remember, that I remember. George Lucas with Star Wars, the first movie, New Hope, ran into flack with the motion picture industry because originally, Paul, in all your movies, your credits were in the beginning.
Yes.
Not the end. And George Lucas never liked that. And he, in Star Wars, was the first to take it from the beginning and stick it unto the end. That's one of the reasons they really didn't give a lot of Oscar awards to Star Wars, because they were in cahoots for that.
Because he broke with tradition like that.
Yeah. And I agree with George Lucas. The credits belong in the end, not in the front. But that, like I said, you can look at any of the old movies before Star Wars. Your credits were actors. You see the names on there before the movie even started. So, yeah, he changed Hollywood in a lot of ways, and he got flack for it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. There were a lot of people who took cheap shots at him.
Well, you have a vision and you want to do things your own way. Honestly, who's to stop you? And frankly, to hell with what everyone else says.
And not to be a Debbie Downer, the following year after Star Wars and all the popularity, George Lucas went headhunting. He went after Star Blazers, Battlestar Galactica, which has nothing in... Look, Star Blazers have this thing on their second season with the Common Empire. Now, this came out before Star Wars. And if you put the Common Empire and you put the Death Star, identical. Almost identical. But storyline totally different. There's no similarities other than that. Battlestar Galactica does not have anything in common with Star Wars unless you're counting the lasers and spaceships.
Okay,
There's
fair
nothing
enough.
in common. But George Lucas started doing a little opposite there of starting going after people and even start threatening to sue. So
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, there's a lot of feistiness there.
What were you saying? You were breaking up there again.
Oh, there's a lot of feistiness going on. They were at each other's throats pretty good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Real quick, I'm going to bring in another guest. Welcome to Jet Sparks. What's up, man?
I'm good.
Thanks for joining us. So, is there anything further you have to share, old man?
I'm going to sit and shut my mouth up.
Okay. Well, Jet Sparks, since you just popped in, first off, was that a Tootsie Roll you were eating?
No, it's Jack Link's beef stick.
Oh. Snap it to a Slim Jim!
Oh yeah, but it's just
I
Jack
can't do that
Link's
voice without
Sasquatch.
coughing.
But
anyways-
of course, I got some Sleepy Time tea with me as well.
Nice. Well, anyway, since you just jumped in, you can actually go next. What was it that first... Because we're all kind of... This stream is to go back to basics and rediscover why we fell in love with Star Wars in the first place. So what was it that first got you into Star Wars?
Well, come to think of it, it actually really was the prequels that got me into Star Wars.
Okay.
And I mean, I did watch, also had I think my dad also did have the VHS re-releases from 97 of the original trilogy. And of course, I think I also did have the Luke and Vader lightsaber toys as a child as well. But again, like I said, the main reason why I became a Star Wars fan is because of the prequels, more or less. I even sat in line for Attack of the Clones. I remember seeing the Phantom Menace on VHS, and that's it. I mean, heck, even when I was looking for Attack of the Clones, seeing all the promotional stuff where I was like, "Whoa, Yoda's get to use a lightsaber! That was so cool."
Yes, I remember that very much.
And even
sorry. So Michael, who has now changed his avatar to Captain Riley the Irishman from The Naked Time in Star Trek. You and I saved us for last because you and I, to a certain point, pretty much share the same history as far as how we got into Star Wars, of course, because we grew up in the same house.
Yes.
Where we started with the prequels. For me specifically, it was Episode 1 was the first one that I had seen, and I think by that time it was the first one you had seen too.
Yeah, I want to say that seems about right.
Mm-hmm. And then, of course, along comes Episode 2, and then in preparation for Episode 3 coming out in theaters, Mom and Dad rented the whole original trilogy from our local movie rental store that we had at the time, and we watched through all of those.
It was a top-tier store, by the way.
It was, and they gave away free little mini bags of popcorn, and I miss it.
Yes.
But then, of course, we later saw Episode 3, and for the longest time, that's all that we had, and really that's all that we needed as far as Star Wars goes. We knew what the Clone Wars shows were, the 2D and the 3D version, and we had seen a few episodes and really liked the Clone Wars overall. But at the end of the day, you know, all we really had was the original 6 movies as well as the 2 Ewok movies.
Yes, which, by the way, those are completely underrated movies, and I will take that to my grave.
Agreed. Yes, the
Don't forget the
Ewok
cartoon.
movies do
Don't
not.
forget the droids. That's important. They came out the same time.
Right.
The droids.
I actually don't remember watching the droid ones. If anything, I remember the Ewok adventures where I'm going to call them the Star Wars Swiss Family Robinson, just because I don't
Right.
actually remember what their family name is. And then they all find like a Walmart brand version of Tinkerbell and find Walmart version of King Kong, who apparently kidnapped their parents.
Yeah, that was a little bizarre. The droid cartoon was not bad at all, but it was only one season. That was it.
Fair enough.
Uh-huh.
So, of course, so like I said, the prequel is what caused us to fall in love with Star Wars. Specifically for me, seeing the lightsaber fights in the prequels. Not to talk bad at all about the originals, because those are good also. But the way that the prequels did their lightsaber fights,
Yes.
where it's way more energetic compared to the original trilogy, which is more traditional sword fighting. You know, that's what drew me in, especially Duel of the Fates and Battle of the Heroes. Those, to me, are still 2 of the best lightsaber fights ever.
Can I give you a quick thing about the Phantom Menace?
Sure.
Yes.
I had my own children and my nephews, and I did the same thing to them that my father did to me, and took them to go see the Phantom Menace. I had taken them when they had in '97 the special editions of the first 3. I took them to go see the movies. So they were really big into Star Wars. So I'm in there. We're at the theater sitting down. And if you guys remember the Darth Maul when he first appears and he's coming off a spaceship to go onto the on Tatooine and he's walking down in front of everybody, my oldest daughter goes, "Yay, it's Darth Vader." And
Oh, no.
everybody in the theater turned towards me. But remember, this is not, they didn't show his face at first. You only see his legs. So everybody turns to me and is like, "Whoa, look, this must be the bad parent. He's the one that has his kids liking Darth Vader."
I mean, can you blame her? Darth Vader's a cool character.
She loves Darth Vader even today, but my head went like, could I fall any lower into this seat? Because I was the only adult with like 4 kids there, and yeah, everybody's staring at me, and I'm like, oh my god, what did my daughter do to me? Yeah,
that is hilarious.
Yep.
So real quick, let's turn to the chat because Cobra Disney Jedi, who was jumping in while you were talking, Phil, he shared what first got him in. He said, "I was in the 2nd grade when Star Wars came out, but I didn't see it until fall of my 3rd grade. Sadly, I only saw it once because my dad didn't believe in watching movies more than that. Once is enough," was his belief. And by the way, hello also to Leia Rose.
Wow. So it must really be the type of person that really doesn't like movies.
There's some people that just like
probably.
That, you know, I had, like I said, I had a great dad that some of the movies we liked, and there was a few we didn't. But you know, as soon as Star Wars was available, he bought the box set for himself and for us to watch VHS. You know, everybody's different. You know, at least you got to see it once. Even then, that's good enough, I would say. But
of course,
I always like reminiscing. Even as a kid, I go back when I popped into VHS of A New Hope. My mind, I'm back in the movie theater the first time to see Star Wars. And I do that with other old movies too. Like, it wasn't just Star Wars. For me, Planet of the Apes was big at the time, and other things. So, yeah.
Right.
Reminiscing is not bad. So I know everybody does it. I mean, you guys were younger than me, and prequels were big for you guys. And I totally understand. Even though I'm original, I hate saying that, but I saw Star Wars when it first came out. I do love the prequels. I do love the prequels. I do understand some of the reasons why people do dislike it. But I also remember when it came out, there's still at that time were people thinking that when these new movies came out, it had to do with Luke Skywalker. We didn't have the internet. You didn't have much to go by. If you're lucky, you got a radio show. Maybe you got actors promoting the show on TV before the movie actually comes out. But there was a lot of people, even up until the day the movie came out and they're in line, didn't know this wasn't about Luke Skywalker. So there was some unjustified or mistakable reasons why people hate it. And I'll put
understandable.
Revenge of the Sith after The Empire Strikes Back is a diamond in the rough.
Yes.
And I seen that with my mom and my niece. My mom seen Star Wars only on our television, but that was the first time her seeing a Star Wars movie in the theater, and she loved the Revenge of the Sith. So,
okay. Now let's fast forward now to today, where Star Wars is now in a very, very, very different place than where it was when each of us first discovered it and first fell in love with it. And it's safe to say that at some point there has been something, if not multiple things, that all of us to a certain degree have taken issue with, especially since Disney took it over. So what I'd now like to ask each of you, and again, JetSparks, you can go first here, is what was the one thing that happened that put you at your lowest with Star Wars? And then after that, what has kept you going with Star Wars in spite of that?
Well, I think I could say for anyone whose love of Star Wars was broken was definitely The Last Jedi.
Okay.
I mean, my story is just the simple thing, but here's the thing where it kind of gets a tad bit odd. And this is where I kind of feel like this is where me and my mom are both like big Star Wars fans. I mean, my dad would say he's a big fan because I know he claims to be the greatest expert at Star Wars, even though I have delved into other things that I'll get into in a minute. But when I walked in there, yeah, I mean, sure. The Force Awakens was we're kind of retreading a little bit of New Hope a little bit, but there's some things that feel a little new with it. But yeah, only when we saw Luke at the end is like, oh man, now I cannot wait to see the next movie now, because Luke was only in there for less than a minute on screen. Mm-hmm. And again, that got our hopes up because, needless to say, a lot of people, including myself, were hyped for the next movie. And I saw Rogue One, and I mean, I thought it was pretty good for most of the time. And I mean, sure, it was great. I mean, sure, get another yearly Star Wars movie. But when 2017 came around, I was so excited. And the first thing that literally made me my jaw drop is why did he throw the lightsaber away? That's his lightsaber. I mean, I don't know how the heck Maz could not have found it, because I'm pretty sure that would have been tumbling down to the lower atmosphere of Bespin by now. But apparently, again, Maz could not have found it, and she had it in her possession all the time. And Luke just threw it away like it was nothing.
Right.
And it's he doesn't want to even be bothered. It's just who even is this guy? This isn't Luke. Was he just sitting there meditating? I figured he was just meditating, but it turns out, no, he was there just to die. It's again, Rian Johnson subverting expectations and trying to think that this is just you think that this is what people wanted, but I think that's always it was intention in every movie he makes, is to make the most divisive movie of all time. To everybody, there will be some people who absolutely hate the movie and people who will overwhelmingly love it.
Right.
But the only thing I can really give this movie is just that, yeah, it's well shot. That's about it. But everything else, even the lore breaking hyperspace thing that destroys that whole fleet. I mean, I could have forgave that a little bit if Admiral Akbar was the one that did the sacrifice, not this purple-haired gender
Karen.
study. Yes.
Karen, yes.
Yes, exactly.
I felt sorry for that actress. I really did. She's a good actress.
Well, I know it's Lena Dunham. I mean, it's basically Ellie from Jurassic Park. But...
Yeah. Side tangent. She looks like she has not aged a day. Compare her to her original appearance in Jurassic Park and Jurassic World Dominion. Like, the resemblance is uncanny.
I think she got it from her mother, who was also an actress.
Well, yeah. I guess some people just age gracefully, or they just don't partake in a lot of like all the more horrid stuff that we already know is known in Hollywood, like drugs and other things.
Yeah.
And then the second part of my question, in spite of all of that, what has kept you going with Star Wars?
Yeah, but the other part is like the one biggest thing that really broke the movie for me, especially, was they killed off Snoke for no reasons. Like I was like, what did they just do? And I was looking at my mom, I was like, that was a face of what the heck just happened? But you thought I had a face of, I had a thing of excitement on my face. No, it was like, what did they do? Why did they do that? Like, we're only halfway through this trilogy and they kill off the supposed main villain, or basically the Palpatine replacement, or who we found out later it basically was Palpatine the whole time. So laziness on their part. Yeah. But that was it. And of course, the fact that Luke Skywalker just dies at the end, even though you think that he's all there, you think he's going to be doing bad, he's going to have a heroic sacrifice, but nope. He's just force projecting, and he just dies on his rocket, just vanishes into the force.
Yeah.
And it's like, that was it. It's like walking out of there, I had a look on my face of, what did I just watch? That bewilderment turned to anger, and then it turned to hate, and then it turned to utter suffering. And I just like, it was like, why did I sit through that?
100%.
Right.
I will say this: when you think about, I'm with Jet Sparks on. I would say unfortunately, the first sequel movie, as good as it did in the movies, kind of gets the backlash because it's associated with the Rian Johnson one. And as time goes on and you learn more about The Last Jedi, Mark Hamill saying Luke should be talking when he's on that stone, should be hearing and talking in communion with Anakin Skywalker. It would have made a bigger impact. He pushed for that, and he was denied. It's a shame. He knows more Star Wars than the director. But the director was determined. And everything that Mark Hamill, even he comes to find out, he had to pretend that he was playing a new character, Jake Skywalker.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing, though. Rian Johnson basically wanted to deconstruct why we love Star Wars.
Right.
No, deconstructing a fantasy universe is not something you do. Oh,
real quick, in real time, this was Jet Sparks when Snoke died.
Oh gosh.
And the reason why
I'm gonna clip that and meme it.
And the reason why that Snoke died is because he was not born an Irishman.
Oh God bless. Oh boy, but yeah. Ooh. But I will say this now, moving on to what's keeping me going with Star Wars is definitely the EU. I mean, I've delved into, I read the Bane trilogy, which was phenomenal. And again, it really, I was aware of who Darth Bane was, but now I can, knowing his story, it just shows that his doctrine, the rule of two, it worked. It just worked so well for a good 1,000 years. And of course, the Sith stayed in the shadows, and as long as they kept their numbers limited to 2, because prior to that, in like Path to Destruction, and even before that, the Sith numbered in the thousands. But infighting and always striving to be the most powerful Sith of all time, that's what led to their downfall. And also the Jedi always veering them closer to defeat, because the reason is the Jedi are always trying to be united because the Sith are a common enemy. The Sith actually see not only the Jedi, but also see themselves as enemies.
Yep.
And that's where everything fell apart with
the
it.
infighting cost them. When you read the book, the infighting cost them the war.
Mm-hmm.
They had to resort to stop General Hoth, aka the person that planet's named after.
Yep.
The Sith
Lord Hoth
came up with a plan that will have this final battle and lure the Jedi to this planet. And what they do is all the Sith commune and make a force bomb.
Yeah, the thought bomb. Yes, and this was Bane's coercion. Yeah,
everybody in that force bomb gets killed, but their essence and their spirit doesn't get to move on. They're all trapped in this force bomb. You know, if you go there, if you go to that planet, you can't. There's nothing living there because the force bomb pretty much wiped it out. But there's still essence is trapped inside that force bomb.
Yeah,
and Darth Bane said that was the worst mistake they did. You know, doing that.
But also again, they believed in the idea that Bane was the prophesized Sithari, aka the one who would destroy and rebuild the Sith. In a sense, he basically was the Sithari in a way, but ultimately, the true Sithari that would have ultimately brought the galaxy to its knees was Palpatine.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And again, the rule of 2 Sith only numbered to only 30 over the course of that 1,000 years.
And side note, by the way, if you like the lore of the Sith, this is well worth your time.
The EU, like I said, if you love Darth Bane, it's in depth, but all the EU books are wonderful. And I will say for myself, what saved me with Star Wars, first of all, the ability to cut off everything Disney. Everything Disney for me is done. And as great as people want to say, what is it, that one movie that everybody talks after?
Rogue One.
Rogue One. I have to put it, it's Disney. And, you know, I'm done with everything Disney. What's saving me and what has saved me is saying to my mind, Star Wars is episode 1 through 6, Clone Wars, and the EU books. Other than that, the rest don't exist in my mind. That's just a totally different, whatever you want to call it.
But that's the whole thing, though. But the only thing that really muddies the water with it is what is canon. Like, what do you think in your own head canon? Are the post-Endor stories of the EU, are those canon in your mind or not? That's the one thing everyone should know. I mean, there are a lot of great stories. I mean, heck, they could have just they actually could have just played it safe and just drew upon the stuff like with the Yuzong Bong or the Thrawn trilogy. They could have just used those characters. I mean, it would have been new and unique. And I mean, again, the Yuzong Bong were basically outsiders from another galaxy.
Yes, and they were there.
Yeah, and that also was a bit of the reason behind, like, that was a small plot point in the book, The Outbound Flight, which I actually need to track down and read myself.
The Outbound Flight is a wonderful book, and it explains a lot. I will say this, like I said, the EU is very in-depth and very rich. It's perfect. Sadly, it ended in 2012, and I know Timothy Zahn went and wrote new Star Wars books for Thrawn, which I love. But I'm sorry if it has anything attached to the Disney name. My thing about a couple months ago was that's it.
And the same thing I could say about James Luceno, which I also read the Plagueis book, phenomenal book, and I also want to get Dark Lord: The Rise of Darth Vader, and we also know. But there's the thing that sort of muddies the water, though. You have like the differences with like the novelizations of the prequels. Are those actually really worth reading?
If you watch the movie, you always remember, it's just like any movie. You're never going to get everything from the book. The books will give you more information that, I didn't realize this. Like, it's hard to explain. The only thing I can tell you, and it's not just in Star Wars, it's any of them. Books always give you more.
Yes, and that's true. I would say
get the books, read the books, and then when you rewatch it, you'll notice more things. Oh, this makes more sense because this was kind of put there in the book. It may not have all the like in a book, you're unlimited for how many pages you can put in.
Yeah,
In the movie,
exactly.
they're limited. So, I would tell you yes, because I have all the original 6 books that came out for all the movies and novelizations.
And
I
Alan
would tell
Copeland
you
here saying that he started outbound flights a day. Awesome.
Yep.
Hey, Finn.
Real quick, let's turn now to Old Man. What was it that put you at your lowest point with Star Wars, and what brought you back?
Well, one of the things that got me is actually when they came out with Episode 1. Jar Jar Binks was just off the wall for me, and
Okay.
from that point, everything after that, I started to take a look at with a subject. What is the purpose of this? Why do you have this Jar Jar Binks that's really a character that doesn't quite fit in the way he was acting? Now I know they cleaned him up for the next one around, but in the first one, he's really off the wall.
Right.
And I'm going, do we really need that in here? What are they doing? And it progressed to, then I caught back into it. Okay, we're now up to having 6 of these under my belt. Somewhere's in there, Disney World took over. And I grabbed my barf bag. I really, truly could not believe that anybody on the right mind would allow that to be done. And of course, with KK in there, it just, and even at this point now, I don't even want to see anything that they're producing. I'll take a look at what some of the fandom people have put together. Because believe me, I've seen some better stuff out of them than has ever exited the doors of Disney World.
Okay.
Yeah, I even showed
Their hearts are soul in it. They know the canon. They're on it, and they're carrying it. And
I
that
showed
is
Paul some fan-made movies of Star Wars, like Mission. I remember showing that, someone with Darth Raven. And I will tell you this, they didn't have nowhere near, maybe not even 10% of what a Star Wars movie has money behind it. But in their little short, I think it's a 30-minute mini movie, fan-made, they knock it out of the park. That guy who's voicing Darth Raven and the actor playing the part, you could not find anything. Disney couldn't touch it. Could not touch it. And it's a shame because you know what? It's a fan-made movie.
Right. Speaking of fan films, I'm grabbing and putting in the chat right now what I consider the gold standard of Star Wars fan films, that being the one that they did about Darth Maul called Darth Maul Apprentice. So I'm putting that in the
I've
chat
seen
now.
that was beautifully done.
Yes. Anyone that has not seen it could not recommend it enough, especially if you love the character of Darth Maul. So, Michael, what about you? Now, we've already talked about how we have a shared history together growing up in the same house with Star Wars. But we begin to diverge from that path pretty much the moment that I left for the Navy, because I saw The Force Awakens by myself, and even though I would never have called it my favorite movie, I did like it. I liked Rogue One a lot, actually, and kind of still do. And then, of course, The Last Jedi comes out, and I'm sort of convinced into not liking it, you could almost say, because around that time is when I discovered people like Geeks and Gamers, Mauler, people like that are infamous for just outright crapping on that movie. And that made me skip Solo entirely until it came out in DVD, and I went in with the lowest possible expectations and actually came out pleasantly surprised. And I actually ended up liking, in a so bad it's good kind of way, Rise of Skywalker. So if anything, what really put me at my lowest with Star Wars actually happened really recently with Kenobi. And Phil, of course, you were there for that.
Yep.
And
That was a roller coaster ride.
It was. Because I still remember you and I and Pacific, and I want to say this guy I'm about to bring in, Mr. Crit, I think he was there too when we did that first watch party for Kenobi. And I remember that we loved the first episode and then hated the second one.
That quick.
Yes, just that quick. It was a whiplash effect. And then, of course, episode 3 is what revealed to me just how cheap and disposable Disney Star Wars truly is, and it didn't get any better from there. Mm-hmm. Even seeing young Hayden Christensen and young Ewan McGregor again in that episode 2 flashback, it was cool in the moment, but I felt nothing from it. And that honestly bothers me more than something that's outright crap. To know that the future of a certain product under a certain company is just cheap, consumable mediocrity. I wrote a whole song about it, which I won't sing tonight. But for the longest time, that put me at my absolute lowest with Star Wars. In fact, I was literally this close, as I've said before, from writing off Star Wars entirely until I saw that Ahsoka leaves the Jedi Order arc from the Clone Wars. And that's when I had something of an epiphany, and this is what inspired, honestly, this whole stream. What's keeping me going now, as far as Star Wars goes, is pretty much me just going back to basics, like you said, Phil. Only the original 6 movies truly matter. Everything else, be it Disney or the EU, anything that is not the original 6 movies is speculation of what could have happened in that time period. And not only does that allow me to look at the original 6 movies unsullied, but it allows my imagination to fill in, maybe something different than the 2D Clone Wars or the 3D Clone Wars happened during that Clone Wars time period. Maybe something different than the sequel trilogy or the Thrawn trilogy happened after Return of the Jedi. Maybe the Old Republic looked different than what they're about to show us with the Acolyte or the High Republic or the Knights of the Republic games. Because I like to use my imagination a lot and come up with these type of what-if stories. And by looking at it where only the original 6 movies matter, it frees up a whole new world for me.
Yeah, exactly. And that's very much true, because sometimes when things are implied or mentioned, it's better to have things left up to your imagination sometimes.
Mm-hmm. That is the same mindset a lot of us older Star Wars fans went through from 83 to 91. It was our mind. What is Luke Skywalker doing afterwards? What's going on? You kind of get that feeling when Stargate SG-1 ended. When they came off and the creators and the actors said, the show ended, but their mission and their things are still going on. You're going to have to use your mind to understand what's going on. So Star Wars was the same thing up until, like I said, the EU book first said the series came out with Timothy Zahn. But I understand where you're at, Paul. I was, there with that horror. But for some people, everybody's different. For me, my Star Wars is done after I would give the Clone Wars. That's it. It's done. I don't care how good Endor is. I really don't have any attachment to it. I don't care if there's a season 2, 3, or 4 of Obi-Wan. They done enough damage. And I heard the battle cry, and I'm not making fun of it. After 2 minutes of Luke Skywalker and Mando, everybody was crying. Star Wars is back.
Count me among them.
Saying it. And I'm not making fun of you guys. Understand the people that said that. What I said at the time was, it's only 2 minutes of Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, I know. And it's kind of crazy. That was kind of a little overboard for us to say it gave us hope.
You're right. But at the same time, you got to look at where our headspace was at that point. The Last Jedi was still a very fresh wound.
It was.
And
Yeah,
that
it
two,
really
and yes,
was.
2 minutes. You're right. It was 2 minutes. But in that 2 minutes, we got more of real Luke Skywalker than we did in the entirety of the sequel trilogy.
But
Yeah.
then we put the hope in the Filoni Favreau, and we went with that. And you now see Filoni and Favreau is part of the game. They're part of the hierarchy. They're not different than, hate to say it, Brian Johnson. Now they might not be on the same level of destruction, but for me, they're doing a lot. The last two shows, Boba, I don't want to say it's Boba Fett and Obi-Wan. That was enough for me. That's enough for me to say, I'm done. I love Star Wars, my Star Wars, and I'm going to rock with what I have, and I'm perfectly fine with it. And I will forever after this. I'm here for everybody, but after this, I will never talk about Star Wars as a whole. I will talk about Star Wars, 6 original Lucas, and the EU. After that, as far as the other stuff, I ain't touching it with a 10-foot pole. Even if it becomes a hit again, I'm not touching it with a 10-foot pole.
Exactly. It's the same thing with like, I know, sure, the Mandalorian, because the reason why it was a hit because it kind of just did its own thing,
Mm-hmm.
and it wasn't really trying to connect anything else in the Star Wars universe. But I know,
But now, if you look at that season 3 trailer, it's starting to connect to the sequel trilogy because Babu Frick is in the trailer.
Yes. So again, like I said, Obi-Wan Kenobi is just, or better yet, Book of Boba Fett is where I said, you know what? Yeah, this stuff is just getting ridiculous. I'm sorry, I'm done. I'm done now. And also, since Gina Carano's not playing Cara Dune anymore, which she could have been the catalyst for that merge of the New Republic series, but since she's gone, and I know she wants nothing to do with Star Wars anymore, and I don't blame her. But yeah, Star Wars, all that other stuff, it's dead to me now. And even more so that now we got the live action remake. And it turns out that Little Mermaid movie, it's not the only one being made. They're making one about Peter Pan and Wendy and how all of them have the same type of font. I have a bad feeling. I think like My Nerdy Home like responded to me on Twitter about that, saying that I got a bad feeling they're gonna make a cinematic universe out of this.
Yeah, and here's another thing too. They're doing the same thing with Pinocchio, maybe not in the same way that they're doing it, but they're
Crit
Disney
knows all about Pinocchio, don't you?
Like, here's the thing. I recently watched that movie today, and I was like utterly disturbed as towards the Pleasure Island thing. Now, that's mainly because I looked into probably the darker truth of that in particular moment, but I was like, holy crap. And they're putting this in a kids movie.
Spoil the heck out of it, Michael. What do they show?
So basically, you know the whole thing about how they're drinking root beer, having a good time, and they turn into donkeys.
Mm-hmm.
And let's say that children who were donkeys are then sold to mines, the salt mines, which in turn leads to a different industry, we will say. Yes. Yeah.
Well, I will tell you because it's the Pinocchio's Italian folklore. And I do not like what they're doing with the new one. I refuse to even acknowledge its existence. But the original storyline in Pinocchio, they get turned into donkeys. Yes, they get.
It's just like that. It's just like that in the original.
Yeah, like I don't know. It's just I don't know. It just disturbed me a little bit.
I think they more graphically detail it than what they should be. You know. Pinocchio is supposed to be lessons taught.
They kind of dumb it down in the new one. Instead of actual beer, they have kids drinking root beer.
But still,
one of the morals of the Pinocchio story or the original was Pinocchio doesn't know any better and he gets involved with this. Yeah. And this new one, Pinocchio's like, oh, I don't want to smoke and drink and do all this stuff. I don't want to.
Which I can respect that, but I don't know. Just with this in particular movie, it actually like disturbed me because of some of the stuff I've looked into.
That's what he does in the original. He does participate.
Yeah.
So they kind of just take away by that, by not having him do that.
He wants to be a real boy so bad that he thinks if he does what other boys are doing, he's going to be accepted. Yeah. That's the whole thing. And everything in there, everything in that thing is teaching you, don't tell a lie. Your nose is going to grow.
Yeah.
Oh,
no, that's just me personally, but that's not like why I've kind of saw Disney in a new light. Let's just say.
I would say stick with the original Pinocchio. That's more in line with the folklore of the Italian story. Yeah, it's more in line. And they're not drinking root beer. In that, let's put it to you this way:
they're drinking the real stuff.
They would be drinking wine.
They do all the they do all the bad things in the original, even Pinocchio and Pinocchio. Yep. But they kind of just ruined the story because they kind of like have Pinocchio not doing those things. So I don't know why Disney wants to get cold feet into these things of the original.
Yeah, which is funny because kind of going into my sort of response to this prompt, they're not afraid to do other things, let's just say. And I'll get into that when it's my turn.
Go ahead, Michael. It is your turn now.
Well, okay. So let me just put it this way. The words I'm going to say do not reflect the U.S. Army Reserves or the DoD or its affiliates. So with that being said, it's going to get serious.
Yes.
So let me show you just a picture. And I want you to tell me exactly what you see. And of course, if you are offended by this, you should be. Let's put it that way. Notice the difference.
Yes, and many people have noted that now.
Yes.
Yes.
And I'll show you another one because this isn't the only one. And this is not really... This is kind of more so of how I view Disney as a company and not just Star Wars, but just how Disney is sort of treating Star Wars right now.
All right, what do we got here?
A literal movie that stars a black actor who is also portraying a black character. And his face is covered up for the Chinese version of this.
And just as a side note, that is a horrible, horrible Photoshop that they had done for the Chinese people.
Yeah, like
that's the laziest thing they could have done.
Yeah, like
exactly.
And here's the thing: I'm not saying this as sort of saying, like, I'm not saying this to offend people. I'm really just saying it to tell the truth. And the truth is that Disney doesn't really care about some of the messages that they're sending.
Of course they don't.
Because they only care about profit, but at the same time, they're not afraid to prompt up more or different kinds of narratives, where the latest one that we see is a clip of She-Hulk, keep in mind, in a professional environment.
Oh no, I know where you're going with it. I saw the clip.
Yes.
With Megan Thee Stallion.
I don't want to see the show.
I didn't want the trailer automatically I said no. Yes. I'm done with this.
Yes.
I know, and I gotta say, we already know that Star Wars girl, she absolutely, but she has to suffer for so she can get a lot of views on her channel. She has to suffer through that.
Yeah, like
if I can enter real quick, there's another thing Disney did with the release of, especially with Star Wars. You know, a lot of Arabian countries are Muslim. Yes. And they're very strict in their religion. I respect that.
I actually have firsthand experience in what
they cut out the scenes, especially in the last movie, of the woman kissing the other woman.
Yes.
And I can understand that because here's one thing. Kids are more watching Star Wars. That's always been a thing. Now, I'm not saying that's the reason the Arab community did it. They did it for religious reasons because they don't believe in it. But Star Wars was able to go to 9 miles to, not show that for them. But they're willing to expose other people's children and not care. We have to accept it.
Let me cut you off right there for a second, Phil. I don't believe for a second that was Disney that edited that out, because I've seen other movies in theaters, in local theaters in a Middle Eastern country when I was overseas in Bahrain.
Mm-hmm.
The one that sticks out to me the most, believe it or not, was Spectre 007, the second to last James Bond movie with Daniel Craig.
Mm-hmm.
There's, the stereotypical scene where James Bond sleeps with whoever the hot girl of the movie is.
And they edited that part out.
They cut that out.
Yeah, because they don't want that shown. Like I said, Muslim law is kind of similar to Jewish law.
Mm-hmm.
They don't believe in showing it. And I understand it and I accept it. But my thing is something about that, which they don't think. Over here, it's shown and you have to deal with it. Over there, Disney is willing to make a profit. In order to get it profit, they knew they have to cut that out.
Yep, exactly.
And they're willing to do that. Where they could simply solve the problem. It's more, like I said, it's a family-oriented Star Wars. Let's not have that scene there at all.
Yeah.
Nobody would have been offended not having that scene. And I have family that are gay. I have a nephew that's gay. He's married and everything. Both him and his significant other agreed that should not have been in Star Wars movies.
I think that stuff is fine in adult films or adult shows like Arcane, because it's like Caitlin and Vi and stuff, and that doesn't bother me. It's when that stuff's
confirmed.
Accept it, Paul.
I'm kidding.
Yeah,
but I think we all can agree. Adults, yes, but for Star Wars,
but for kids,
risk of children, you're bringing children.
Kids don't need that.
I agree.
You don't need to expose kids to that kind of stuff. You don't need.
Then they ask questions you don't want to tell them yet. And
because it's just an awkward conversation to have a kid. I mean, if they ask the simple question, "Oh, where do babies come from?" Just the simple thing a parent will say, "I'll tell you when you start finding girls less icky to look at."
Yeah.
Well,
as far as the image of them doing that, I don't think that is China actually doing it. It's more of a reaction that Disney had, or if we show a black person, they're going to get offended. China's seen black people.
Yeah,
they have black people there. Look, everybody goes to China at some point to go visiting and tourism. China's not going to do that. That more has to do with the CEOs and the business model of Disney.
Yeah, and I guess my main point is that I want to tell you exactly how they treat their own IP, just because they don't even care, but at the same time, they do care about pushing some narratives. Where I'll go back to She-Hulk for the very first episode, where she literally says to Hulk's face that I'm literally better at controlling my anger than you, all because people literally mansplain all my professional job or catcall me. Now, to be fair, I did watch that scene where she was getting catcalled, and sure, I was pretty annoyed about that. But the fact that she said that while we have Bruce Banner, who is literally raised in an abusive household, tracked down by the government for that, and then almost deleted himself, but the other guy spit it out, let's just say. Just really goes to show what kind of narrative Disney wants to push on their audiences as well as their children, especially in regards to their not-so-secret agenda, I will say.
Yeah.
But what kind of brings me back to Star Wars, and it also kind of makes me kind of back away from Star Wars a little bit, kind of depending on who I talk to, is the people that are the fans. Because I've had 2 of my friends actually appear on stream before, and in fact, that was actually an amazing stream that we did last Halloween. Because I'm sure that's because they may or may not watch my TikToks. They'll probably not agree with some of the stuff that I say.
Put in the private chat, Michael. Remind me who these people are.
Yeah. So anyways, they'll probably not agree with me 100% on what I think or believe, just because for one thing, I am a Christian white man, and I am not ashamed of saying that one bit. But at the end of the day, we'll still love and appreciate Star Wars. And you get to see the fans online create their own little things where they express different characters in their own image. Like,
Right.
the thing that you mentioned one time, and I'll bring it up, is when we were talking about the hotel that was based off of Star Wars, where the official Twi'lek singer looks like nothing in comparison to the Angel of Azarath.
Yeah.
Which that
is
was
very
your
true.
words. Which that was your words, by the way, PJ.
Yeah, and I stand by them still.
But at the end of the day, I guess that's really how I stand on Star Wars, where I don't really have a lot of strong opinions about the content we're getting, just because obviously recently I was cut off from that for about, I don't know, 10 weeks. And then I barely watched anything for the next 7 weeks when I was away. So that's really just how I view Star Wars and Disney.
Okay. Fair
Disney
enough.
has a tendency to do things that just don't necessarily fly with the rest of us.
Yes.
I've been in places where the entire family lived in one room. And believe me, there was no hiding what was going on. So even the little kids knew what it was all about growing up. Just like a lot of farm kids growing up on the farm, well, they watch the bull go at it.
Yeah, totally.
Or the stallion go at it. They know about this stuff. But at the same token, it's under what would be called normal. By that, I don't mean that we find it normal, but they find it normal in that they weren't doing anything outrageous. It was a man loving a woman, da-di-da-di-da. The horses have to meet, the cows have to mate. We're in the business of raising these cattle. So along comes Disney, and they want to jam a bunch of road apples down our throat on some of this stuff. And we're all pretty well offended by it. I mean, the thought that I'm watching something happening there to our kids that don't live in the environments that I was talking about.
Right.
They live in our environment. Why drag our kids into those environments?
Well,
there's no reason for it, other than the fact that they're just
Disney has,
nasty.
like Old Man said, has a habit of that, but they also have a habit, and I can go back, and Old Man, you probably would agree with me.
Mm.
Disney is not good in sci-fi. Black hole, failure. As much as people today will say they love Tron, Tron was a failure. Even the remake was a failure.
Yeah.
They did John Carter, and they spent a lot of money to buy the rights to the name of that movie, and that is one of the biggest flops. It's, to me, I like the movie, but it is a flop.
Yeah.
Disney could not make sci-fi.
They're good at fantasy.
When Star Wars was for sale is why they jumped on it, but they still have no idea how to make it. They still do not have an idea how to make it.
If anything, they may as well try to make something like Skyrim, and I'm sure that just because of their experience in making...
I'm in heaven.
But
Bill,
the one I'm trying to...
Bill, you do not want Disney to touch Skyrim.
Oh no, not with a 10-foot pole.
But the point I'm trying to make is that I think, given Disney's experience with fantasy, like medieval times, Knights and Dragons, as opposed to sci-fi, I think they would do a little bit better. And I'll say this in regards for Tron. At least they had a good selection of music.
Yes, I'll give you that.
Yeah.
But there's one thing that we got to mention about Disney. They can't create characters. When you create a rock and try to push it on people as a Star Wars character, look, I can give Crit 3 minutes to create a Star Wars character, and he can come up with something awesome within that 3 minutes. But the best
he did, by the way, and you can watch that on Star Wars Revitalized.
But the best Disney can do in a book of the New Hope, or not New Hope, the High Republic, is a rock and somehow it has the ability to pilot a ship? Think about it.
Yeah, I don't get it.
And no one to this day can
I probably
explain
want
it
to smash
me.
my head. I probably want to smash my head into one, just trying to wrap my head around how the hell that's even supposed to work.
Yeah, I don't know.
You got that one right.
Yeah, I'll even say this, where I kind of got my love for Star Wars again after just recently going through Star Wars Visions again and seeing TOB1 go up against the Inquisitor. Where I would say that is my all-time favorite episode. And it has one of the best villain designs too, I would say.
Mm-hmm. Crit, you haven't had a chance yet to share your story. So kind of what we've talked about so far, what first got you into Star Wars? What was it that put you at your lowest with Star Wars? And then what's brought you back and keeps you going?
What got me into Star Wars? Well, I grew up with the prequels. The OT were kind of those movies on VHS. I would watch them. I didn't really know the significance of them because I was younger, but I really liked the Phantom Menace growing up. And my dad took me to see Attack of the Clones at the Cinemark. Before the sequels, I kind of felt that was the worst Star Wars movie because it's just really boring. As a kid, from the point of view as a kid, growing up, but then my dad took me to go see. I fell asleep. Episode 2. To be fair, that movie came out 2002, right? I think I was 5 when that movie came out. But episode 3, I was fully awake, and I really loved that movie. I didn't know anything about film criticism or what people had problems with the prequels growing up. I just really liked the Phantom Menace on DVD, and episode 3 was my favorite. Growing up, I rewatched the OT, and I really love now. Empire Strikes Back is my favorite, of course, because I really enjoy watching the old films now. And I was very excited the day I came home from, I think it was my first freshman year of high school, and my dad's like, Crit, Disney bought Star Wars, and guess what? They're gonna do episode 7. And I was like, oh, more Star Wars after years? Because the only show we were getting, Lucas was doing, we thought he was gonna do that live action show, and then but there was the Clone Wars, and I wasn't really interested at the Clone Wars at first because it was a kid's Star Wars show. I really liked the original Clone Wars better. But the new Clone Wars got better and better, and I gave it a rewatch. But I was excited, and I was involved in looking at leaks for episode 7. What Luke's going to be.
We all were to a certain degree
and stuff, and there was a leak. The plot actually was leaked a year before, and I didn't believe it because it sounded just like A New Hope. But I went to go see The Force Awakens, and I was surprised. I liked it. I liked Kylo Ren, and I thought the actress for Rey was smoking. This is my senior high schooler mine. So I was really excited what they're going to do with Luke because there's so many possibilities. And I went to transitional school next year, and oh boy, the Rogue One came out. I took most of my classmates to go see that, and that was a good film too. I really liked the grittiness of that. So far, by then, I really felt okay. Disney was doing Marvel to do what they did for Marvel for Star Wars, but in a good way. I was kind of I was waiting for them to do more prequel stuff because I was kind of done with OT. Then they announced Solo. And then I went to go see Oh boy, I went to go see The Last Jedi, and I actually hated that movie so much. I hated what I I think if Luke had not died, I think that movie could have been, passable, but the fact they killed Luke and they had all those circus clown shenanigans in that movie, I was defeated. And I told my dad, what were they thinking? Because Carrie Fisher had died the year before, and I thought they were gonna maybe like reshoot it where she died, and maybe they should just keep Luke alive because they've already killed off Han. But no, they kept it the same, I guess, for Ryan Johnson's vision, and I just hated that movie, like with a passion. But I didn't hate I didn't hate much of the story though. I liked the scenes with Luke and Rey on the island. I just hated that, Luke became this, etc., etc. He acts like this. I thought he treats Rey like and then pretty much all that stuff, all those scenes with him are never redeemed, and he just dies the way he did. Not to mention the horrible subplot where they go to the casino planet. That was bad. But on to... So the Solo came out afterwards, and I did not hate that movie. I liked it. I rewatched it a lot. I think it's more of a rewatchable movie the more you go back to it. But I think really I was done with Star Wars when The Rise of Skywalker came out. The Rise of Skywalker was nonsense to me. Like, if you're gonna make your Star Wars movie just not sound the slightest of sense, then I'm not gonna consider it a movie. And I did end up paying to go see it. I did end up paying to go see it on Christmas Day, and my dad was annoyed because I got up when they revealed that star. I've told people this. I told Paul this before. When they revealed that Star Destroyer with the Death Star laser and they destroyed that planet, I simply told my dad I'm done, and I got up from my seat and I left. And he was annoyed, and he's like, "Oh, you paid for a ticket," and I did not get a refund because that was halfway. That was near the end of the movie, I think. But and then my dad,
horses in space.
I did not see that. I did not see the whole Emperor final fight scene because I was done with the movie. But I heard the leaks, so I assumed that's what's going to happen at the end of the movie. The Mando was a light shining because I had watched that, and I was really enjoying that more than the official films, which was kind of depressing. Mando season 2, of course, victory speech as Phil said, like, woohoo, yay, Luke Skywalker is back, yay, fan service. And then here we are now where we got the Book of Boba Fett, poorly written trash that ruins our favorite toy growing up, because admit it, Boba Fett was the favorite toy we wanted, and then Kenobi. I think Kenobi was a tragedy because on retrospect, the story of it's not that bad. It's just made so cheaply that, I'd rather watch the green screen scene. I'd rather watch all of the prequels again than
not to mention, of course,
shaky cam.
Not to mention, of course, everything regarding Moses Ingram and the drama surrounding her and her casting and her acting.
Yep, and another thing.
Fair, yeah, sorry, Crit. But I will say this. To be fair for Moses Ingram, even though she probably he thought that she was hot stuff when she may or may not have been in the first place, she at least had some form of receipt to her accusations, where I'm not going to say she was entirely right, But at the same time, she wasn't entirely wrong.
I will disagree with you on that, Mike. I'm sorry.
Well,
I don't got a problem with it, but I'm just saying, based on what she's...
Phil, don't focus on Michael being wrong. Focus on the abomination that Crit's showing on the screen.
I noticed that abomination because he knows when to bring out the abomination with the name as Picard.
But just remember, Crits, mine's bigger.
Oh, here we did not go there. We didn't say. Get that off there. Get that off. The only thing I would say why I disagree with her and why it upsets me with her is when she made the comment, "I am the first black person in Star Wars."
Oh yeah, that
Samuel
L.
Jackson.
And Billy D. Williams.
How can you ever forget? And let's not.
forget. And Captain Panaka.
Yeah, and Captain.
Yes.
Panaka. But don't forget, they forgot Billy D. Williams' birthday.
Yes.
They forgot James Earl Jones's birthday.
Yes.
But they can remember her birthday. What does she do great for Star Wars?
I'm of the opinion that if you're not a woman and in Star Wars and you're not of color, then they don't care at this point. Like that's, I think we all established that with the posters, as well as the fact that they were literally showing the Force Awakens movie to be about Finn being the rogue stormtrooper who then becomes a Jedi, which I would have loved to see.
I would love him to be a Jedi.
Yes, me too.
And every movie he was in, he had something to tell Rey, and we never found out what it was he was going. I think he was going to tell her, "Hey, I got the Force. I have the ability to use." Would have been perfect. They did that character and they did that actor wrong.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Well, real quick, guys, we're actually going to switch gears for a sec because Jet Sparks has to go. But before he does, I'm going to actually go ahead and do my new original song. And real quick, I want to cast your minds back. A couple months ago, actually, I had done a stream with my friend Ian, the headless guitarist. And it was a stream where we were writing a song with live help from the chat. And we didn't get to finish the song on that particular stream. And for a long time, that song kind of sat dormant. I wasn't doing anything with it until recently when I got the inspiration to pick it back up. And I have finished it, and I'm going to play it now live for you guys tonight. So it's called Love of My Life. And it's about how Anakin and Padme fell in love and also fell out of love. So here's what it is. It had been 10 years since we last met, but there we were again. And I couldn't help still feeling just like that boy of 10. And long fall into the Gundark's nest, it was nothing to the pounding in my chest. I knew right then that you were the love of my life. It must have been the will of the Force that Obi-Wan and I arrived. If we hadn't when that hunter struck, I'm not sure you'd have survived. The day we left to hide on Naboo, I was overjoyed, and you were too. And with that first kiss, you became the love of my life. I fight the Clone Wars by myself just to hear your voice again. Walk the whole Dune Sea to see your smile. I take the fires of Mustafar and endure the worst kind of pain, just to have more time with you, the love of my life. I was grieving my mother's death, you were there to comfort me. You listened as I raved about my Tuscan atrocities. When it seemed our death was near, we were brave and made our feelings clear. I told you that you were the love of my life. I often shed a tear when I recall our wedding day. It was just you and me, no one else to get in our way. But the war had other plans, though it was nothing our love could not withstand. Through it all, you remain the love of my life. I'd fight the Clone Wars by myself just to hear your voice again. Walk the whole dune sea to see your smile. I'd take the fires of Mustafar and endure the worst kind of pain, just to have more time with you, the love of my life. When you told me you were with child, I didn't know what to say. My dreams would frighten me that you would die on your delivery day. If I lost you the way I lost my mother and me to great a cost, so I gave myself to the dark side to save you. Now you're gone, and now I'm not the same man I was before. My body's ruined, now my soul completely torn. The cruelest part about my fate is my lust for power became so great that it overshadowed you, the love of my life. I fight the Clone Wars by myself just to hear your voice again. I walk the whole dune sea to see your smile. I take the fires of Mustafar and endure the worst kind of pain, just to have more time with you, the love of my life. I hate to say it, but you were right. Our secret love destroyed us both that night, but I still do not regret the love of my life.
Very good.
Thank you. And Phil, I already told you that you have your coupons. They're right here.
They're expired. They're expired.
Epic battle ensue. Just like the chicken fight.
Right. But anyways, though, Jet Sparks, I understand you have to get out of here because your melatonin tea is working, right?
Yeah. Sleepy time tea's really coming on strong, guys.
All right.
At least to clear my sinuses up a little bit, though. But yeah, but Paul, it's good to be on. Good to meet you, old man. Bill, it's always a pleasure to be with you. Crit, also a pleasure. And thank you. It was great to talk Star Wars. And with that being said, everyone, good night.
Have a good night, my friend.
Good night.
Have a good night.
Night.
And hello to Pacific 414 saying, Paul, kick Phil to crack it out. I can't kick Phil out
the
because
elderly. Here we go again.
I can't kick Phil out because I don't have that clip. I need that clip you use. The one of Wyatt Earp.
Please, whatever you do, when it comes from a Cubs fan that only managed to win one World Series in like 100 years, they're not the type of people you want to hang around with.
It's
you
all right.
Hang around with winners.
I have other ways with messing with Phil.
Winners.
Phil, remember this argument?
Damn you!
And you say Picard can't throw a
fake
punch.
Frenchman, the quote-unquote actor, drinking Earl Grey.
Sir, I know this may finish me as an acting ensign, but...
Shut up, Wesley!
Love it! Shut up, Wesley!
His head shines as seasons go further and further on.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. If you've got an issue, here's a tissue.
You're making my head hurt.
Oh.
Sorry about that. Anyways,
still, what does
let's
God need with a starship?
Anything he wants.
Darn it, Michael! You know what you make me have to do.
Excuse me, I'd just like to ask a question. What does God need with a starship? I said, what does God need with a starship?
Jim, what are you doing? I'm asking you a question.
I know what I made you do.
I love that McCoy. I love that McCoy.
Last clip. This is Crit's head right now.
I know this ship like the back of my hand.
You gotta love Jim Ross.
Absolutely. So we're not quite done yet. There is one other thing that I want to talk about, and that is the fact that for the longest time, because of the burnouts that we've all been experienced, this channel has not covered any Star Wars content. In fact, we are no longer branded a Star Wars exclusive channel. We are now Fandomology, where we talk about pretty much anything that we want. Now, that's going to stay the same. We are still going to stay Fandomology, but Star Wars is now once again going to become a bigger part of what we're going to be talking about. And so that's kind of where I want to transition into, is just laying out sort of the plans for this channel regarding Star Wars. First off, Animation Friday is going to stay as it is. We will get through the Clone Wars. We've got season 6 coming up. Not this, I believe in 3 weeks is when we're covering it again, because this coming week we're covering Batman the Animated Series. Then the week after that, we're actually going to be taking a break because Michael is going to be on drill. So we'll probably do something else around then. Then we'll be covering Clone Wars season 6. But aside from that, I think it is now high time, and I think I'm actually going to start this tonight after the stream, that we start getting into some Star Wars Legends stuff. And thank you, Pacific, for sending me that clip. I'm going to get that downloaded and input into the system. But anyways, I'm thinking tonight, for a little bit after the show, I'm going to play Knights of the Old Republic. And let me tell you this. Anyone that is an expert at Knights of the Old Republic, I am really going to need your help.
Do I get McDonald's coupons?
Dude, okay, maybe I need to just find different
You're making
McDonald's coupons.
You're making Godzuki sad.
Godzuki's not real.
Neither of those coupons. Neither.
Yeah, get on them, Crit. He tried to abuse the elderly and try.
All this intravenous stuff's no good for you. Stick to smoking.
No.
Abuse the elderly and abuse Godzilla. What do you have any shame?
Not really.
There you go.
Yeah. So,
this younger generation.
But anyways, though, we will get back to talking about Star Wars again. We're going to talk EU. I have the Thrawn books here. We're going to start getting into those. And then after that, who knows what book series we'll get into next. We'll get into... Actually, no, I take it back. Instead of Knights of the Old Republic, let's do Force Unleashed tonight, because I can muddle my way through that a little bit better, and I want to be able to devote a little bit more time than what I have tonight to Knights of the Old Republic. So we'll do Force Unleashed tonight. And I think as far as the Disney stuff goes, obviously, Phil, you've said what you said, and I'm not going to force you to do anything you don't want.
Andor.
I'm going to give Andor a chance. Now, I am not going to watch each episode when it releases. I'm going to wait until the whole thing is out and then watch it all in one go and see how I feel about it then.
You're a brave man.
I will tell you this, and this is a suggestion. I would avoid any topic on YouTube of mentioning of Andor.
I'm going to do my absolute best.
Yep. Try to do your best. Don't watch any spoilers or any reviews. I say wait till you get done and you binge watch the whole thing and then make your decision.
Cobra Disney Jedi real quick saying, I've been thinking of rebranding my channel or flat out quitting it. Why are you thinking about quitting it, man? Tell us that in the chat. What's going on? But anyways, while he types that, I'm still open to the idea that something that Disney could do with Star Wars could be good. And if it is good, I'll be happy. But nowadays, I'm no longer going to be looking at what Disney does as part of one overall story. I'm now going to be looking at every single thing in isolation. And if it's good by itself, then I'm happy. And if not, then okay. It's honestly nothing of value was lost.
Mm-hmm.
So that's sort of the plans forward for this channel as far as Star Wars goes. Of course, Crit, I know you're still working on your version of Episode 9 as well as everything else you're doing with Star Wars Revitalized. I really have not seen, admittedly, anything of yours other than the director's cut of Episode 8. So maybe some of your stuff could be a topic one night for a stream.
You can what? Well, hold on. Let me check if there's a copyright claim on it. There shouldn't be, because there could be a short video of mine you could watch on here. Let me see here. Because I actually do adapt canon and legend stuff.
And you do a wonderful job, my friend.
Yeah, okay, There's no copyright claim on it, so the music's good. I'll post it if you want. So have you ever seen my biggest project and the one that gets the most views.
Don't worry, Cobra. I know what you mean.
The big stuff that gets the views on my channel is I actually do audio dramas. I'm the master of the editor, and I have a lot of friends that are voice actors, so they do voices for me. And one of the things that never got released was Darth Disciple, which was the end of Asajj Ventress's story. I've been working on that since 2020, and I'm about almost done. There's 2 episodes left, but I have solely been directing that.
Did you base it off the book, the Asajj Ventress book?
Yes, yeah. It's the Asajj Ventress, not the Legends. It is essentially, you could call it a Clone Wars.
Is that with the Indian Jedi that she teams up with?
Yes, that's Quinlan Voss.
Yeah.
And they team up to assassinate Count Dooku. And I think I mentioned it a couple hands. I told you and Michael, whenever you go on a trip, could listen to it because it is
right.
I think right now it's like at 3 hours and something minutes. It's an audio drama, so it's something you really just sit back and listen to.
We do have a road trip coming up very soon, Michael. So,
but I did post a snippet. I did a little video of the voice actor of Count Dooku. Dooku makes a speech at a party that pretty much justifies his stance for the Separatists, and I thought it was one of the best scenes. This friend I have who voices Dooku, like you gotta listen to it.
Do we know him by chance?
No, I don't think he would be able to come on stream either. He's a very professional guy.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah. I posted the link in private chat if you want to.
All right, I will take a look. And by the way, Cobra Disney Jedi, I didn't get a chance to respond to it, but if you need to talk, man, just reach out. Like YouTube aside, if you ever need to talk, if anything's wrong, just reach out.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I do it professionally.
So yeah, we will it's 2 minutes 40 seconds, so we won't play all of it, but we'll play a good chunk just to get the idea of it.
Oh, I have to go. I'm sorry.
That's fine.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for letting me in your stream. Have a good night, my friends, everybody. I was glad to be here and, had a wonderful time. And, old man, justice for the elderly. We will not tolerate their abuse. We will not tolerate their abuse.
All right, youngster, out you go.
Don't come back! Ever!
Evil. You're gonna team up with that Cubs fan, really?
Yes, I am.
You couldn't pick a winner. Not somebody.
Well, don't you know that the Cubbies won in 2015?
Yeah, one time, and then that's probably not going to happen for another 100 years.
Well, you think you got problems? I got the Vikings and the Twins.
I feel your pain, but I'll cheer for them before I cheer for the Cubs. Have a good night, guys.
Yeah.
Good night, Phil.
Phil's not here to see this, but hashtag justice for the Cubs.
Nah, don't worry. He'll see it.
Right. But anyways, though, let's check out this clip. Like I said, we're not going to watch all 3 minutes of it, but we'll watch enough.
It is an honor to stand here before you, for you represent the freedom and the future of our galaxy. The once great Republic and Jedi Order have become victims of their own ambitions, and the Supreme Chancellor is no more than a pawn of corporate monopolies. As a people, you called out for change. You called out for leadership, and I humbly answered that call. Together, we challenged the system. We asked for equality, and how were we met? With war! The Jedi's secret army of clones was revealed, and their treachery was far greater than we could have imagined.
Did you add the booing in yourself, Crit?
Yeah.
That's funny.
Countless living beings, these clones the Jedi created, have been sent to their deaths, while we sacrifice mainly droids.
He makes a good point.
Our soldiers of flesh and blood are willing participants, They are your fathers and sons, mothers and daughters, who fight not because they were grown and designed to do so, but because they know in their hearts that they are fighting for a just and noble cause.
Dang. Wow.
You know, we will watch the whole thing.
To be your leader during this unfortunate war. But I shall receive this humanitarian honor and take it as a sign that my leadership has been met with your approval. Let the celebration begin!
Now imagine that you heard that, not knowing that Dooku was a Sith. By the way, hello to Ashla. Imagine hearing that, not knowing that Dooku was a Sith. You would think that Dooku was a wise leader.
Yeah.
Someone that really represented the people.
Yeah, just because of the way that he was saying, hey, the Republic's actually using clones, and they didn't have a choice in this, by the way. They were, like, grown to do this. Like, this is their purpose. And admittedly, he was right. Like, after the war, they just kind of lost all purpose.
Mm-hmm.
I was glad you could listen to that.
Yeah, that was really good. And side note, by the way, the guy that did the voice acting for Count Dooku did a perfect job.
Yeah. He never does the impression of Corey Burton. He does Christopher Lee, and it still doesn't matter though because his voice is just powerful.
Yes,
and I actually prefer Christopher Lee as Dooku as opposed to I am Dooku.
Right.
But that whole story, I didn't read the book. I made the scripts reading the book. But I was very surprised how well it was, and I would have liked to have seen that in live action. So in the CGI show. But it's kind of a very adult story because it has some risque stuff with Asajj Ventress and not I would say PG-13, not R-rated, but she does
Crossing
dive
that
into
line.
Not crossing that line. I would say there's no like scenes of the naked sort, but there is some love is hard, and love will lock you in with someone, and it kind of like that's what Dooku uses. He does actually use that love to manipulate Quinlan Voss. So if you're ever I can tell you, if you're ever in a road trip, you can listen to it all. There's no bad parts. I was so Kritzberger. Oh, it's
get in here,
Mr. Redhead. But the Phantom Booligans.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do have the Mariners too, Cobra Disney Jedi, because I live in the same area. But it's Darth Disciple, you'll probably find it. They're set. It's not complete yet. There's I think 6 episodes. There's 2 more left. Those probably won't come out till Christmas because they take a while to make. So yeah, get in here, Cash.
Yes, cause chaos, please. This is the Chaos Collective, after all. But anyways, though, Ashla, how you doing tonight?
Good. How are you guys?
Doing well.
Good.
So, we've gone around the horn talking about what got us into Star Wars, what might have put us at our lowest with Star Wars, and what brought us back, and what's still keeping us going. And I don't believe I've quite heard your story as far as Star Wars goes. So pretty much for you, what got you into it? Was there ever a time that you just were down on Star Wars? And what brought you back?
Well, for me, it's gonna be cliche, but I started watching Star Wars in like 2021. That was like the first time on Disney Plus. And the reason I was watching Star Wars because I was really sick and I couldn't go to school, so I was at home like all day and had nothing to do. So I was like, well, everyone likes Star Wars, so I just started watching it from the prequels, and I watched all the movies in like one sitting basically. So I didn't get like anyone's opinion. I just literally watched it. And when I first watched it, it was like a little confusing because I didn't really understand like the political stuff, but like I still loved it.
Can I ask, by the way, what order you watched them in?
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Okay.
That's how I.
And hello to Cash Money loves redheads.
Yes.
But continue, Alice.
Yes.
So when I first watched it, I really liked the prequels, and then when I watched the original, I was like now I really love it. But that was like the first time I watched it. The first time I watched it, I was like confusing more. Like I was like kind of like harder to understand. And when I watched the sequels, I was just like, what the heck is happening? But I did like certain stuff. I was like more and more confused. But now I love the original trilogy. I love the prequel. The sequel is someone I like. So it was like that. And I watched all and after that I watched all like the Clone Wars, the Rebels, like Resistance, like every series, everything I watched. So yeah, that's about it, I guess. Because when the prequels came out, I wasn't like when episode 3 came out, I was like 1 year old, I think. So it wasn't. So that's why I didn't really watch it when I was like more younger, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
And then kind of. So I guess you really haven't had time yet to really be down on Star Wars because compared to us, you're still new on your adventure. Well, that's good. And honestly, in a way, I can't speak for every one of us, but I certainly envy you, having so recently seen all of this stuff for the first time in regards to Star Wars. I'm kind of going through that myself with a whole bunch of other movies, but Star Wars, I would love to go back, like as I am now, and see all this stuff for the first time. So the best thing that I can tell you is keep your love of Star Wars, hold it tight, and don't let anyone else try and take that from you.
I watch Star Wars like every day. I watch like the movie 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I rewatch it like all the time.
Yeah, let's put it this way. As our dad puts it, don't let the negative feelings or negativity surrounding certain people affect how you view Star Wars.
Yeah.
Like, you should love Star Wars because you should love Star Wars, which I get is very circular, but you shouldn't let how other people view Star Wars frame how you view it.
Right. Yeah, just don't listen to the negative people.
Yeah, that's
Speaking of, Cash Money, your turn. I'm kidding, Cash, if you caught that.
Oh, boy. This is what happens. People ask me to come in. Some nonsense.
It's the Bulligan.
It's Crit in his small little Godzilla picture. All right.
You wanted chaos. I have the chaos right here.
Ah.
We have a burger for you.
Mask.
Yeah. Recently replaying it, by the way.
And Phil, you get no coupons still, man. Sorry. No coupons. Sorry, not sorry. Yep.
By the way, Phil, look at my name.
It's chaotic.
So anyways, Cash, same questions to you. What first got you into Star Wars? What put you at your lowest point with Star Wars? And what, if anything, brought you back and has kept you going?
I made a mistake coming on here. No, I'm kidding. Well, I mean, I guess it was like my brother and my dad. I got into Star Wars. I probably like when I watch Empire Strikes Back on VHS. And then where I've probably gone with like my lower point with Star Wars is probably a lot of things that Disney has done. Like it was like I liked The Mandalorian enough. I thought it was a quality show. And then when we got to the Book of Boobaloo, as I like to call it, I think my
You
brain
nearly
exploded.
you nearly made me squirt water out of my nose when you said that.
We saw that.
And then when we got to Kenobi, like I didn't just feel much for it. Like there was some good stuff in there, some good dialogue, but it just didn't make me feel much. So it just after that, I just didn't care much. So I figured I was hoping that this new Star Wars was going to encourage me to want to read the books more. But now it's like I would rather just read Shadows of the Empire and other stuff by Timothy Zahn than actually see where this is going. But I have some hope for Andor. I think Andor, if it connects with Rogue One, which I liked Rogue One a lot. So we'll just see. There's no guarantees. So.
Yeah.
And then was there another question in there? Or did I cover it?
Pretty much. Well, you kind of answered it, but what, if anything, brought you back to loving Star Wars, and what has kept you going?
Wow, that probably the group, like getting involved in some of these Star Wars groups and seeing people being excited about stuff, hearing people being talking about the EU or the prequels or the OT and how much love they have for it, and also it's helped to be part of a Star Wars project I got involved into recently, and even like Crit getting involved in some of his projects with Star Wars. Like it's just watching his stuff, and it's just like, oh, this is very cool.
Yeah, and that's one thing that we cannot undersell at all. The fact that even good has come from bad Star Wars, in the sense that, with the exception of you, Michael, because we grew up together, I would never have met you, Crit, would never have met you, Alice, Old Man, Cash, Coach and Nick. Literally anyone that I've ever shared a panel with has been, to some extent, because of Star Wars. Be it our love for the classic Star Wars, or our hatred of the new Star Wars. But that's something that never will be taken away, that Disney could never destroy. Is this word gets overused, but just the community that we have. Disney can never truly destroy that. We'll have differences of opinions,
Yes,
but
which is
at the end of the day, we still love the same thing. We just have different tastes, is all. And Michael, I just now saw what you sent me. Real quick, Phil saying, ask Cash what he does with onesies.
Oh man, Phil, you and your fantasy land, man. We're gonna ask you about your easy bake oven, man. We heard about that earlier. So.
By the way, Michael,
and Phil loves GoBots, by the way. So make sure to always ask him about GoBots.
Yes, GoBots is Phil's jam. He loves GoBots more than he loves the original Transformers.
There was a very interesting thing, Luke used in the OT that no one noticed. Yeah, the special weapon against Vader.
That is true.
It is pointless to resist Phil.
They used the King of the Monsters, Godzilla.
Yeah.
And this was right after, by the way, that he beat King Kong. So anyways, I think that's going to be it for us tonight. I know Cash, you just came in for a little bit, but honestly, I can't think of anything else to talk about other than I just want to reiterate to everyone, we all may pick and choose what aspects of Star Wars we like, where you like every single thing that Disney has put out, or you completely hate Disney and you're EU only, or you're somewhere in the middle where you're willing to give it a chance, but you don't have high expectations. Wherever you are on that, you still love Star Wars. Don't let anyone take that away from you. And also one other thing too, don't let your differences in opinions over Star Wars or anything else come between the true, genuine friendships that you make. Because at the end of the day, Star Wars, and this is the harsh truth, Star Wars is fictional, but friendships are real. Which one do you want to put more stock in?
Yep.
Phil,
So-
do not instruct Alice on what to do.
Alice saying, don't let these elderly abusers influence you.
We are going to advise her. We are not going to influence her.
I don't get
Whatever
influenced.
she makes, whatever decisions she decides to make is entirely her own.
Paul/Mike/Cash elderly abuse. Okay,
Ooh.
real quick. Cash, I need you to do something for me. Name 5 redheads that you like that aren't animated.
I already named 3 on the other stream. What the heck, Paul?
Phil
That's
brought it
not
up in the gaming
animated.
stream.
Dude, that's a
not
tough one,
animated.
man. Think of how many have been actually erased. The only one I can think of, like even recently, is Haley Atwell. Well, she was Agent Carter, so she was a redhead in that.
Can I help you out on one? Ginger from Gilligan's
Ginger
Island.
from Gilligan's Island. Yes.
There you go.
But to think of 5 though, man, that's a tough one. That aren't actual just animated characters, or considering how much Hollywood is.
You could say early MCU
Yes, I did.
Black Widow.
Yeah, Black Widow is a redhead, yes. Even though she's not. Even though Scarlett Johansson is not a natural
I did just think
redhead.
of one, but I don't know if you watch Stranger Things. Have you, Cash?
No, I haven't watched
Okay,
it.
never mind then. Never mind.
No
Well,
anime.
anyways,
Phil's putting in other rules.
Here's one for you, Becky Lynch.
Lucille Ball. She's a redhead.
Yeah.
But see how hard it is? There's not many around because entertainment just is like, let's keep erasing them. It's crazy.
They
And
have
here's
no
here's
soul.
another one for you, Cash. Every character that I play in Skyrim.
Yeah, but he wanted
They have
just
no
live
soul.
every character,
I
yes,
know.
but he wanted
And
he
that is
wanted
why
live
they have
action.
no fear.
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
Peter
But
Louise
anyways,
is-
though, for real, guys.
Oh, God.
Anyways, though, guys, we're going to go ahead and shut it down for the night. Given how late it is, I don't think at this point I'm going to do a gaming stream because I do have work in the morning. So we're going to go ahead and close it out for the night. I don't think also there's going to be a Godzilla stream tomorrow. We'll pick it back up with Tuesday Night Trek. I think I'm going to take tomorrow off.
Okay.
But anyways, though, thank you
Loved
guys
it.
for watching. Make sure to hit like and subscribe if you haven't already. And this is now once again our permanent slogan. We are Fandomology, where fandoms collide, and the Force is family. See you guys later.